reflect on why there wasn't as much accountability as you guys want. Having had a few days to reflect on that, have you come up with any answers?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to, executing the plays that we're told to run and just kind of executing just in practice, showing up every single day with the mentality to get better. I think that, obviously after the first couple of losses, maybe our execution lacked in practice that week. And, I thought our Thursday walkthrough was one of our best walkthroughs that we've had. But, like I said after the game, we can't just do the things that we're supposed to do in practice and then go out to the game and just lose all our detail and all our attention to detail and just kind of do our own thing. So I think that's something that, we need to really harp on this week is, do the correct things in practice like we're doing. But when we go out to Nebraska on Saturday, do the things that we're doing in practice to put us in the best position to win.
Elton Hayes.
Hey, Pat. How are you doing this morning?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Hey, looking at the first three games, notice Sean's got a lot of carries, 52 so far. I know that durability last year, he was a little banged up as the season progressed, ended up missing the regular season finale. What are some ways you all have been working, early this week to kind of develop more of that run game by getting Devin Ford and those guys involved to kind of take the wear and tear off Sean?
Yeah, I think if you ask Sean, he's going to say the same thing that I'm about to say is, he wants the ball in his hands and he wants to be able to make plays. And I think, Cliff's a very good runner with the ball and he makes good cuts and good reads. So, and that's the beauty of our offense. I mean, if the defenses want to take away our running backs, then we're going to run with the quarterbacks. And I think, he does a great job with that. And, we haven't really kind of talked about that yet going in because we haven't gone out to the practice field, but I'm sure we're definitely going to try and get our running game going. But if that's with Devin or Keziah or Kevon or Cliff or Will or with whoever, then we're going to do that. And I think, Cliff's definitely capable of carrying that many times. And, I'm with him every single day. He's taking care of his body. And it's just whoever makes the opportunity in the run game is going to make that opportunity.
Donohue?
Good morning, Pat. Thanks for meeting with us this morning. When you look at a guy like Jahan Dotson, who everyone says he's quiet, not really a vocal guy, while you were talking in postgame on Saturday night, he was as well, and he had a lot to say about distraction, about buy-in within the locker room. When someone like him goes on the record with those kind of statements, does it make a stronger impact than if maybe another guy was doing it? And he said he wanted everybody in the building on Monday, even though it was a day off. Is that what things worked out?
Yeah. So, Jahan, obviously, with his comments, I completely agree with them. And I think that, it means a lot that, obviously a quiet kid like Jahan who doesn't really voice his opinion, just kind of come in and does his thing and tries to do anything he can to help the team win. But him speaking up vocally, obviously, it really hits different because, like you said, he's quiet and doesn't really talk much. So, and all the stuff he said was true. And with him being so quiet and kind of not really voicing his opinion, it means a lot more coming from him because, we're all thinking it and we're all trying to get that point across as captains. But with Jahan coming out of really nowhere, just kind of say that things, it really helped because, kids that maybe were just kind of thinking like, oh, the captains are just saying it because they're just saying it and they don't really think it's true. Well, it is true. So, we just have to come into this week and work hard and put our focus on Nebraska and kind of just not really think about the past and just focus on this week. And I think we got off to a good start yesterday doing that with, I saw the majority of the offense and defense and special teams in the building. If that was going out to run extra routes or if that was going to get an extra lift in or watching extra film. And, I think that, the team's really trying to take this next step into getting our first win. And, losing's never fun. And obviously we're just trying to get to that 1-0 this week.
Geiger.
Hi, Pat. I know this can sound unfair. There have been some players around the country who have opted out after their team's slow starts. Are you committed to playing the whole season, no matter what happens, team record-wise, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm committed to Penn State till I decide my time's up here. Like I said before, I love this university. I love this program. I love the coaches. I love the players in it. And I'm with them in the good times and the bad times, and I just can't. That's not my personality to just walk away when we're down and the program's down. I'm going to get up and fight back and try and get us our first win this season and do anything I can to make this program go in the next step. So, I haven't even thought that. It's never crossed my mind to opt out after our slow start.
Thank you.
Vice Wilborn.
Pat, when you look at everything, last week you mentioned after the game, talking about the running game and the blocking schemes. From your perspective as a tight end, what have you picked up in the film over the last couple of days, kind of maybe some things you guys could do better to get the running backs going, get the running game going in general?
I mean, I think this goes back to doing things in practice that we don't do in games. I mean, I think in practice, our run game looks solid because we communicate all the time. We point out our IDs and we point out who we're supposed to be blocking and our communication, and our combos and all that. And we do that in practice. And Thursday was probably our best day doing that in our walkthrough. And we get into the games and it's just we don't communicate. So, and that's on me as a leader of the offense, and that's on Mennett as well. Just to kind of, we need to communicate throughout the whole offensive line, and we need to communicate who we're blocking to. I mean, let's be honest, it doesn't really matter if the defense knows that if I'm blocking a specific player. I mean, they're gonna have to execute their rules, and we're gonna have to execute our rules. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we just have to communicate and tell people who we're comboing to and all that. And I think that will be a huge next step in our run game that will help us a lot to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Joe Giuliano.
Well, good morning, Pat. Thanks for your time. Through 3 games, it's been like, you've talked about not listening, guys not listening and not paying attention to detail or not communicating. Coach Franklin has built a pretty good culture over the years at Penn State. Do you feel that there's a culture issue on this team?
Absolutely not. I don't think it's a culture thing at all. I think, Coach Franklin, like you said, he's built a great culture in this program, and the culture just doesn't go away that quickly from last year to this year. And I think it's just going back to, just buying in. I mean, I think that there are certain players on the team that that need to buy in and continue to trust the coaches. We just can't go out on game days and try and make individual plays and play outside the framework of the defense for the offense or the special teams. We need to do what we're told to do. And in that, if everyone does their job, then you're going to be able to make plays. You can't just go out and go rogue, and go outside of the framework and try and make plays yourselves. The defense is built for a specific reason. The offense is built for a specific reason, including the special teams. And we need to go out and execute that, and the plays will come. I mean, with team success comes individual success. And we just got to make sure that we are all bought into that mentality, and we just keep looking out for each other.
Audrey Snyder.
Hey, Pat. Thanks for meeting with us this morning. What has the relationship been like between you and Sean during this 0-3 start? Do you have to say anything to make sure he's in the right headspace? How do you kind of go about continuing to bolster that relationship? Yeah,
I mean, me, Cliff, and Mennett, we all have a great relationship. Obviously, being the 3 offensive captains, and I think kind of the leaders of this team. We have a great relationship, and we always have tough conversations with each other. Cliff's definitely my brother for life, and me and him, we're best friends. But at the end of the day, we want to see each other succeed, and we're always willing to have those tough conversations with each other. And I mean, after the game, the 3 of us, we had tough conversations with each other, and we kind of addressed what we needed to get better for the team and what the team needs to get better at. And that's what I think makes a friendship a great one, is when you can be realistic and not just sugarcoat everything. You can really have those heart to heart and know that they're not coming for you or trying to disrespect you at all. They just really want you to be at your best. And so, I mean, he told things that I need to get better at, and I told him things that he needs to get better at. And so, we took those to heart, and we're going to, come out here in this week of practice, and we're going to continue to work and just get better at those things.
Danny Collins?
Pat, are those tough conversations that you guys could have as captains and veterans on the team? Are those sometimes difficult for younger players to take the same things out of it that you guys can, just haven't been around?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. I mean, I'm thinking back to, my freshman year when I would come in, and obviously I played a lot. And, if I wasn't practicing up to the standard, I mean, Trace would always come at me and tell me to pick it up and everything, in a way that a leader should. And, sometimes I would get butthurt about it, and I would kind of be like, well, what is he talking about? Like, I am practicing hard, but maybe I wasn't executing the correct way. And I think it's definitely challenging because obviously growing up in a program, you're more mature now. And, me, Cliff, and Mennett, and the older guys in the offense, like, we can see what needs to be done and what those tough conversations need to be had. But it's definitely tough as an underclassman because there's just so many things going on because, the game is still kind of fast for you. You're still trying to learn the offense. You're still trying to execute, just trying to think about what you're doing, not the offensive scheme in general. So when you add another layer of, people telling you what you need to do as to, grow up and kind of, take that next step, it's definitely challenging because you don't want to disappoint those leaders, but you also need to figure out what you need to do for yourself. So it's definitely challenging, but, I think the younger guys have taken a great step and they're very mature. I think, that we just need to continue to have these conversations until we get it fixed.
Frank Marzano.
Hey, Pat. Thank you for your time. When Jahan said that everyone's not really moving as a one unit right now, and there's a lot of guys that are making individual plays, would you say that that's because of mainly the fact that the team doesn't have many opportunities to get together off the field for chances for good team bonding because of COVID?
Our rules in the program are obviously we're our own bubble. So, we hang out all the time with each other. It's not like we can only come in the building and see each other at practice. We hang out with each other all the time. Obviously not in like big groups and everything, but like we hang out with our guys. We hang out with the people on our team who we're closest with, and including the people that we're not as close with. I've hung out with a couple of freshmen. I've taken them out to dinner, and I'm just trying to build that relationship, obviously, because, without summer, you don't really get to interact with those guys because the freshmen came in later. But it's definitely challenging, kind of not, having those team bonding, like we can go to the pool like we did last year or go to champs or whatever as a team event. But it's definitely challenging and definitely hard. But I think we've done a good job trying to adjust. It's not a culture thing. We all love each other and there's no like issues with teammates. It's just kind of the attention to detail and doing things in practice that, that we don't translate into the games.
Justin Morganstein.
Hey, Pat. Thanks for doing this, man. What have you kind of seen out of Parker Washington so far and his growth, and kind of what are you excited about for his future?
Yeah, Parker. I've been impressed with Parker since day one. He showed up, and he's very mature. He's a great football player. He always came in ready to work in the summer, and it's paying dividends to him right now. And he came out in camp and he dominated, and he's getting the opportunity that he deserves. And when the ball comes his way, he goes up and gets it and makes plays. And, he's going to be a great receiver here for a long time. And he's going to be the first one to tell you as well. Like, he's very mature, and he's going to be the first to tell you that he wishes that the team would be 3-0 instead of him having all these great catches and touchdowns and everything like that. So, he's a great football player, and he's a great guy. I'm excited to see what he does in his future here.
All right, we've got time for a couple more. We'll go to Peter Terpstra and Nate Bauer, please. So we'll go to Peter.
Hey, Pat. I've heard coaches say it's never as bad as you think it is after a hard loss, and it's never as good as you think it is after a big win. How close, after analyzing the first 3 games, how close are you guys to turning this thing around?
Yeah, we're right there. It just goes back to like I'm going to say it all the time, it just goes back to that attention to detail. We can't just go out there and do whatever we want. There's flashes of, we think we're like winning the game by 100, and there's flashes where it's just like, what are we doing? So it's just inconsistent. There's points in the game where we were executing really well, but there's also points where it's just kind of like, we've never done this before, so why are we doing it now? There's definitely some good things, definitely some bad things, but we just got to stay more consistent and focus on, executing every single play as its own play and that one play mentality.
Do last question here for Nate Bauer.
Matt, how do you guys dissect or evaluate turnovers? Like, I think we look at the guy who had the fumble or threw the interception. Like, how do you guys break it down?
Yeah, so that goes back to, the O-line and the receivers running the correct route or the correct depth. And obviously that goes back to Cliff's decision-making. I mean, obviously I don't think it's the majority of Cliff's interceptions or turnovers is should be going to other people except him. That's the frustrating thing, is because, you know, the media and other people think it's just Cliff turning the ball over and it's his fault. But in reality, if we could go back to every turnover that he's had, we could have pointed to 4 other guys on the field that led up to things that caused that turnover. So, I mean, I think Cliff's doing everything that he needs to do. And I think Cliff, obviously, there's some things that he needs to correct in his decision-making, and we've talked about that. But the majority of his turnovers haven't been him. It's been other people that wasn't executing the correct way or making the correct block or running the right route. So if we could go back and pinpoint those turnovers, I mean, I would say only really 2 or 3 of them were really his. You know, the whole offense needs to get better and communicate better, and we need to get better with our decision making. But yeah, we just need to stop turning the ball over and fix that definitely today in practice.